has been registered to this event, but some reasons maybe they couldn't join for us. Hello everyone. Thank you for spending some time with us today. About intriguing topic, automated data model generation or superstar schema generator. And yeah, today I'm so excited to have Evgeny Stachalkin here with us. And so he's creator of data model automation systems that he want to share with us today, and he has a very huge experience of full-time Qlik development. So at first I want to introduce our meeting platform. Yeah, it's called Qlik Meetup Astana. It's Central Asia Qlik community, and it is the first session, and I think it will be definitely great because for now we will see a great solution from Evgeny. And at first, I just want to share you how did I faced with Evgeny solution in our business case. So it was last year, and we had a customer with 12 databases and about over 700 tables all over 12 databases, and we had a 2 month, and the goal was to build business layer for business users because customer wanted to see the real business layer that every business user from every business department could use, because they have many Qlik licenses, professional licenses, and they wanted to adopt them to the data and give them the data on their fingertips, and use them to build data models and dashboards by self, because they had training sessions and they had education and company investing in education of their but they had 12 databases, and it's so hard to connect every database to Qlik for them, because they didn't know how to build data landscape without any efforts, or maybe a minimum efforts. So, and I'm a huge fan, and my team, Datanomics.pro, is a huge fans of Unified Star Schema. And it's really exciting because Francesca is here on this session. In our team, Unified Star Schema is a standard for every data model, because it is easy to understand and easy to use data model. And all our Qlik data architects know how to use it and trying to use it. And we deliver these Unified Star Schema models for our customers when we trying to build data landscape and organization. Because when we have 12 databases and 700 of tables, it's very complicated to discover all databases, all connection between tables, and business analysts and business users couldn't create any data model from scratch that they can to use it in production. And when we implemented in this project USS, it was only 30 tables with verified data, and it took for us only 2 months to build this data landscape with Pupini bridge in the middle, and on the edge we see tables with facts, with dimension, etc. And when we are working on this project, it was very complicated task and everyday routine for data architect to build a bridge table here, because you need to create create keys in this bridge table, and it took many time if you have, as I said, 700 tables, and when we faced with that problem, how to transfer this complicated data model from 12 database into the USS, and when my data architects said me, hey, could we maybe automate, find some automated solution for generated bridge keys in this table? Could you please help us? We just call Evgeny Stuchalkin, and he bring to us his awesome solution, and we spend less time to build bridge tables and keys and generating keys in these bridge tables with his solution. And it's so exciting for me because for now he will share this solution with you guys. And so, Evgeny, you can take screen and show how does it work.
Okay, thank you, Alexander. Please tell me, do you see my screen?
Yep, we see it.
Okay, so the program of our webinar today is to have some little theory at start, and then I'll show you how our functionality works in real case, and then I'll give you access to web services that allow you to make same things like that you see on the webinar. So, a few words about me. My name is Evgeny. I have 9 years experience of Qlik development. I'm one of the leading Qlik developer in Russia and CIS. Have some regards like community leader, and also I'm developing methodologies of data modeling and development of Qlik projects, and describe it in different materials, and also create automated instruments for performing this stuff. So why are we here today? We're here today because a lot of time of BI developers spending for things that can be optimized. Based on our calculations, we think that up to half of working time per month of BI developer can be optimized if you will use automated data model generation, because especially in Qlik sense, when you must write your data models manually, you spend time, a lot of time on this. You also spend a lot of time on support, and have some problems with scalability of your solutions, because when you write code manually, you make it slightly different each time, and after all, you have a lot of incompatible data models based on same data set. Also, this time spending, not only business, not only developers have this time spending problem. Also, business users and self-service analysts, people who don't go deep inside of the analytic development process, also have some problems here, because they need to address their demands to the developers, or they need to finish complicated courses to make to have ability construct data models by themselves. But it's a long process, it's a complex process, and after all, we have same problems that have all developers there. So how we see solution of this problem? At screen, you can see the pipeline of data transformation from raw data to business analytics. And at first stage, we can see blocks that can be described as data preparations. So extract, transform, load processes, data quality, master data, and analytical storage, everything is here. And these kind of tasks are usually huge. Developers, high-skilled developers can handle them, and there is usually no problem on this side. Problem begins on the data modeling. When you have some prepared analytical tables, you need to combine them to make analytics works. And requests of data models came from business users, and they always came urgent, same type, frequent tasks. And they need their result yesterday. So you, as developer, does not have a lot of time to make everything in a proper way. Usually you make some application that solve problem that you faced now, but after a week or months, business users came to you with new data sets or requesting you to add new sources or requesting you to create new data sets from existing data, and you can find you in situation when you stuck with your current data model, and you need to rework it from scratch again, wasting your time, and have a problem with legacy. Like you already have some reports and dashboards on previous data model, but now you need to rework it, and rework not only data model but also visual layer. So problem is that we have one set of table in our analytical warehouse, but because of human reasons, we make a lot of models from there with different logic, with different script styles, and they work differently. And we multiply our resources that needed to develop and support all this stuff. So answer to this problem as method is star schema topology. It says that you don't need connect tables to each other, but you can connect it through central bridge. And when you building your data model, you don't care about relations between table. You just take table that you want. You take part of central bridge that connected these tables, and everything is fine. So no matter how much tables do you have, every time you will make these short steps. But everything is looking good only if you already have a star. But if you don't, you face these problems. First of all, it's high complexity of developing. It requires some really hard skills to make it and maintain standards of development. So you just can't have a star from scratch in one day because you decided so. Long development time. Yes, it takes time, and the more tables you have, then more time you need to spend to make this schema work. High redundancy, of course. If you have a lot of tables, a central table will contain all amount of records of all tables that you connect with it in mostly cases. What? So if you have 100 analytical tables and you want to have a star that allow you to work with these tables in simple way, you also need to create a central table that will be connect all 100 tables to each other. Okay, and of course it makes a slow change rate for us. So when you want to add new data to the structure, you not only must perform a standard set of steps that integrates new data in the star model. Also, you can face of necessity to rewrite some previous code. I'll show you in practice how it works, but problem is that when you're adding new tables, it can when you're adding new tables, you probably must to rewrite some code that relies to the previous tables to make it work properly.
Evgeny, excuse me, could you please press the presentation mode, slideshow mode in your presentation? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
I think we can send this presentation after meeting if somebody want to read this. So our approach use one main advantage of star schema. This advantage says that no matter how much tables and what kind of relation between them you have, generation of central table always will work with standard set of steps, and we automated these steps that allow you not to have central table for all data that you have in your analytical landscape. You can take any data set with special table names and table key fields names markup. You will create the metadata of model that can be read by generator, and generator will return to you code that creates central link table that will be contained on relation of your select data set. And when you want to expand your data set, for example, by adding new tables, you just adding them, and the central table rebuilds automatically. So we think there is 3 good scenarios for implementing such functionality. First, if you have in-house development team or you partner who developing project for their clients, it's will be very good for you if your production will be on some fabric level, on conveyor level, when no matter what kind of data set you encountered, you always have similar approach that always works and granted by automation, not by people skills. Second scenario, it's about self-service integration in your company. If you want to give to your business users more freedom in data exploration and not to overload your BI developers, you can use this functionality to make them possible create complex data models that usually requires high skills and experience. But with our functionality, even business users with simple instruction can create very complex data model. And third scenario, it's about consolidation of analytics. So you can have a lot of Qlik applications in your company, and one day you decided that it will be good to have some common basement for all of your data and reports. So automated data model generation is fine functionality to achieve this goal. So also today I'll show you example how you can not only generate data models, but also make some fancy stuff like interactive data landscape map. Okay. Well, we almost came to the demonstration, so my last words about theory. We developing this functionality since 19 year. So it's not some stuff that we invented on the last week. No, in first approach, it was template in Google spreadsheet that shown us that automated data model generation is possible. After that, we make this mechanic seamless with Qlik script because prototyping Google Sheets requires you to copy and paste data from sheet to script and so on. So we decided to make it to exclude this process and generate code on fly. After that, we make it some adjustments in complex relationship scenarios that I also show you on demo. And in current year, we completely rewrite our solution, make it adapted for external control for this graphic interface. So let's go and let's see how it works in real life. I'm prepared some tiny data set. We will expand it during our demonstration. So let's start with 4 tables. We have leads tables that also work for us source of fact data about our sales. I made all sources as inline tables so you can see data structure. We have plan table that contains sales plan data. We have dictionary of users, and we have dictionary of lead statuses that describes current lead status. It still open, it close as successful, or close as unsuccessful. So as you can see, all names, most field names have a special markup here. This is our approach how to control data model structure without any external instruments. So rules of markup is simple. For key fields, you you must rename it like this. Name contains 2 parts. First part is the name of field, how it will be represented in the resulted data model, and second part is so-called association name. So when we making same associations name for different fields in different tables, we make them linked by these fields. Also, at the table name, you need to define associations of tables that are primary key. It's necessary for complex data structure, and you will see why a little bit later. So what do we have here? We have lead ID associations. We have lead close date that added to association date. We have status ID that added to the associations ST status ID. I'm using these associations because it's the name of primary key of my status dictionary. So these two fields will be connected with each other. Also, as you can see, date fields contain dates, and for leads that still not closed, there is no closed date. Also, user ID added to the user ID associations, and LD budget, it's not associations, is filled with data that we will use as measure. So also preferable initial field naming is fully qualified name. So in previous versions, we think about Schema when key fields must have same names in all amount of tables, but we don't use it because you can have some situations where some fields currently it is not key fields, but later it become key fields, so you need to rename it, and you need to remake all your formulas when you use it. So currently all our source fields have unique names. It's not technically necessary, but it's pretty convenient for following processes. So primary key is also necessary stuff to make data model works. So if table does not have his own primary field, like table plan does not have it, because in source it can be something like Excel table where you just write the data there, you make some stuff like primary keys there. So in these situations, you can generate primary key as row number. If you don't want to use it as key fields in other table, or you can make it as composite key if you want to use it as key field in other tables. But okay, now talks, and let's load the data. Everything is fine. And we can look at the result. So from the left side, we have all our tables that connected to the central link table. Central link table contains all key fields and also special fields that describes what fields was a source of key fields value. You can use it like instrument of control of how associations works in a visual layer. Soon you will see it. And in the right part of data model, we have some technical tables with data for debugging and understanding our data model. Also, we have here auto-generated calendar. In our script, we have for this special section where you can name your field with canonical date, give alternative date name for fields that will be used as base date in calendar, and here you can see some stuff with calendar formula. Trick is that you can generate it not only like simple calendar, but also like SO date calendar with depth that you can set here day D character means you will have simple calendar. V means that you can have accumulated calculations with week depths, months, quarters, year, and all time. So let's make our calendar big. Okay, and now when you generated data model, your question is how I can write some expressions here, how I will create my measure. So we make here expression builder. This our stuff when you can choose aggregation mode, you can select field from your data model, for example, sum in table leads field budget. Okay, in days, please. Okay, but also resulting data model have a lot of parameters that you need to set to it work properly. So currently, this expression can be work in several associations variants. So if you remember, we added to date association field LD close date, and also plan months also added to date associations. It means that dates from these fields placed in central table and date fields and work as canonical date. But when you write expression, you need to define what kind of date will be used on aggregation. It's important because if you don't, when you potentially adds a new date in the table, and you will have two canonical dates fields in one table, like lead close date or lead open date. On the date dimension, your expression will be aggregated at both type of dates simultaneously. So you need to define concrete type of your canonical date to if you don't want to have these problems in future. Also, what is happening here? We just making selection. It's all standard Qlik science elements and only some magic with variables that transforms our current selection to the set analysis syntaxes. So here you have preview of your expression and how it works on calendar dimension. And here you can see how your formula looks and copy it from that and use it in master items. Also, since I generated accumulative calendar, I can select what kind of accumulation I want to apply to my expression. It's also important to set this even if you don't have accumulative calendar and have only one scenario, no accumulation. It's important to set it because if you add some accumulation scenarios in data model later, all meshes without defined accumulative mode will be work as with maximum accumulative mode. Also, sometimes we need to insert additional parameters into the measure. For example, I want this formula make me sum of budget only for that deals, that leads that was closed successfully. So I have a special fields for that lead status field. And I can find it in search section. I can check, select here any table of data model, any field, get a preview of my expression by this field values, and okay, I need only leads that I want. So I'm select here, and all my selections is became set analysis syntaxes. So now I can copy this expression and create my master measure for that. Okay. Also, we have a small optimization feature here in data modeling process. We call it automatic composite keys. If primary key of table is not linked to any another table, it means that it can be replaced by composite keys that contains concatenations of all other key fields in the table. So you can see that leads connected to the central table not through lead ID fields, but through SSDM dot leads ACK. This auto-generated field that used for number of rows in optimization in central table. In current case, it does not make any difference because you have 6 values of primary key, and also you have 6 values of composite key. But for purpose of demonstration, we can see that these fields created automatically, and it will disappear when we add some new tables that will be linked to the lead ID. But we also can use LD lead ID in our expressions and don't care about in what table it plays, because when we add new tables, lead ID will go to the central table. And also composite key have a commentary that describes on what fields it based, if you interested. So it was close date, status ID, and user ID. Okay, let's make our data model a little bit more complex. So we have in leads table 2 date fields, create date and close date. And I'm uncomment the following line. We can add to one associations several fields from one table. Okay, data is loaded. So what's the difference? As you can see, if we select date association tweak, now we can see that our expression can be aggregated to the lead close date or lead create date. And depending on selections, look on the chart in right, you can see like mode of my aggregation is changing. And this is one canonical date line. So if you have facts with multiple dates on it, you can easily aggregate it on one canonical date. Okay, let's go next. Let's add a bunch of table. This is another dictionaries. Contacts as people who is contact as our clients, and companies, it's organizations where contacts work. So everything is also simple here. Contacts connected by contact ID to the leads. Is not it? Yes, I need to uncomment it here. And companies connected to the contacts by company ID. So let's load. And here works, I think, most important part of our data model generation. In fact, one of the main star schema problem is that you can't link tables, connect through other tables, unless you keep all possible keys, key fields in one fact table. So in relational model, if I have lead tables that connected to contacts that connected to companies, it's no problem to me count some stuff in leads by dimensions from companies, because they connected with the contacts that works like bridge between these tables. But if we just take all key fields as it is from tables and concatenate it into central link table, sorry, some Russian here. Okay, link table. So you encounter the situation when leads does not have relations with companies anymore, because leads does not contains company ID. It contains in contact ID. So you, in order to make associations works like in relation schema, you need to join company ID to leads ID, and then before you combine all these key fields into the singular link table. And you need to repeat this process to all depths of possible link tree for all possible branches for all tables that you want to combine in a data model. This stuff making manual development of star schema very complex, because if you does not let's imagine that there was your initial data model. It's fine, it's work without any additional joins. But when you adding a new table like here, you need not only create a link block for this table, you also need to adjust link block of the leads, and this is can take a lot of time and a lot of brains. So so good news is that we completely automated this process, and we can see how it works for us now. We have not only expression builder here as some little helper for a developer. We also have a sheet called associations map. This sheet showing you initial schema of your table connections, because disadvantage of star schema is that you can't understand how your table actually linked it, because all of them just connected to the central table, and you don't know how associations works in here. But we make it the sheet that shown you initial structure of your data model. And here you can also see what kind of associations you have, what tables connected with these associations. For example, associations date, unified leads and plan, and in leads it involves two different fields. So looking pretty good. And also you have here tables that show you restored associations. This table represents how process of Z joins worked. So you can see that in lead table from contact table was joined company ID field by contact ID. And for contact table from companies was joined date associations by company ID and user ID associations, because wrong tab, I'm sorry. It works in this way because contacts does not have own data associations or user ID associations, but it have a key field that link it to the primary key of another table that have these associations. So contacts inherit that from companies, and leads inherit from contacts also some key fields that not exist in leads. In this process, we have two potential dangerous scenarios, so-called associations conflict. First of them is when you have some in one of joined fields, some key fields that was already joined on previous field. So we reading these situations and excluded such fields from this join sequence. That's why contact table inherit user ID from companies, because contact table does not have user ID.
Yeah, could please anyone send a message in chat, or it's just my problem that everything is freeze, or everyone? Okay. Wow, it was the most interesting part of the demo, of this long demo. So I will try to catch up to Evgeny. 1 minute, please. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. How long I was talking with myself?
Yeah, you can share the screen, the part where you showing for us a schema with a conflict in data
Okay.
model.
Do you see my screen now?
Yep.
Second conflict scenario, it's when you have two similar fields in one depth step of join. So in this case, we also excluding such fields to prevent wrong joins and damage of associations. And as now let's see how it works for us. So I can still make my measure sum by lead budget by close date, no accumulation. Okay, and now I can show you this expression by company name. As you can see, these associations perfectly work, but we don't waste our time on this crazy data engineering. We just taking the tables that we want to use in one data model, and it just works. Okay, let's also make our model more complex. Let's add another two tables. It's events fact table. Events, it's like log of events that can be associated with leads or contact or company ID. It's also have its own date field that will be added to the date associations, and all of it key fields added to following associations that we defined on previous step. And second table, it's a branch dictionary, the additional table to the user dictionary. So each user can be placed in his branch. Let's load it now. And as we can see, we have even more complex data model now. You can imagine how you're trying to make it with Qlik circles. Here we doesn't have circles, we have squares. So squares are better. Okay, you can see that our association restoration process is now more complex, because not only more tables come through this process, but it also have additional depths. For example, for context table, now we have following picture. It take from companies date associations and user ID associations by company ID. But then on next step, algorithm understand that user ID is also association to the branch tables, and it take from user table branch ID by user ID for context. So even more interesting stuff we can do here. Let's talk about entities, because we have here key fields like contact ID that can rely to the different entities. Contact ID can be encountered in the contacts, in leads, in events, and you can have a necessity to count these IDs in certain table. So how you can do this? Count distinct link table contact ID. No accumulation. Thanks. So first way, you can just select the canonical date that you needed to aggregate this, and it usually automatically select for you a table where from this date came. For example, this will count for me contact ID from event tables. This will count for me from company tables, but this associations was inherit from company tables, and this will count for me contacts in leads. And depending on my data model structure, I can get various results. For example, if I want to show it by users, username, please. You can see that in leads, these people are responsible for contacts in leads, but if I choose another data type, another entity, I can see that distribution and even usernames are changed because in the contact tables, responsibles are not the same like in the leads. Also, in the central table, we have a special field that called entity table that stores a table name that was source for this pack of link rows. So if we does not have some field like canonical date, we can select things that we want in the entity field. And I think last example of how generator works, of its advanced functions, and is the expanding of array of values. Maybe you have admitted that leads have strange field all contacts IDs that contains not one value but several values divided by delimiter. So our data model generator can understand such constructions and expand these arrays into separate values on the link table generation stage. So I uncomment last field, all contacts ID. It will go to the associations CM contact ID. These associations already exists in my table as main contact ID. So it's already make connection one each lead to the certain contact, but often we can encounter a situation when entities connected like one to many way, and you can imitate this kind of links by creating key fields with arrays. So name markup process same like for a simple field. We just adding it to the associations, and let's see how it works. I will count lead ID on lead create date no associations. so on. And you can see that in this panel, I can see how much of associations variants now active in my expression. So while I'm select one date type, it filtered for me one branch ID type because only one field responsible for this, one company ID type, one date type, and so on. But in contact ID, I have two variants. And now I can aggregate it like associations with main contacts, all with all. Let's see how it works for us. This aggregation will work with main contact. Let's select one lead for, yeah. So I'm selecting one lead. You can see that with association like main contact ID, it have associations only with contact Mary. But if I'm choose all contact IDs, it have associations with Mary, Steven, and Tom, because because all contacts IDs contain these three identifiers of contact, and the main contact ID contains only one identifier, main contact. So with our data generation, you can handle even such complex scenarios. So, okay, Alexander.
Okay, yeah, it was a really deep dive into your tool. I think we all need time to digest what we see. Yeah, because it's really cool deep dive. So could anyone please ask question or maybe have question? Feel free to turn on your microphone and ask. Let's get answers from Evgeny about this interesting solution.
Well, you can write something in chat if you shy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. If you want, you just send message in the chat. So the place where chat is, just right corner, bottom corner. You can see message box here, and just press and type your message, please.
Okay, while we waiting, I think we skip today.
Oh yeah, we have a question
From Rob.
Yeah, will you be distributing links to the subs?
To the subs. Currently, data generation algorithm is our private property, but I'm thinking not now, but in a few days later, I will release link to the web service where you can use like demo where you can generate in your application table with metadata, import it to our service, and get a data model code. So I'm forgot to say how final result looking from point of scripting. The main result of data model is the script that exists in your application as variable. So there is no black box about how it's how data model assembling. Let's see. Causes variable and table. So you always can take the script and paste it into the editor. So all process is on the on your palm.
Oh. Oh, cool. Am I right? Let's go back a little bit, and could you please give some helicopter view about your tool? I mean, so we have some function or your service that we need to call, yeah, for generating code of the final data model. Am I right?
Yes, at current state, we distributing this functionality in two ways. First is free for all. It's our service. Let me show it. I will place the information about it on LinkedIn a little bit later, but a little helicopter view. So you have registration here. You have a button for uploading file with metadata, and in a few seconds you will receive back the code that you can copy and paste into your script and perform. This is for this is free for all mode.
Oh, cool. And could you please explain what I need to upload to your web service? What metadata you mean? Because for me, it's not clear for now, because of when our developers use your solution, they just generate some code. I don't know details, but yeah.
Because they used a commercial version that works seamless without any copy pasting, like in the way like I showed you in demo. But in free for all version, you will have a special template app.
Okay.
This already have same data like in my demo for training stuff. Of course, you can load here your own data. There is some short instruction, long instruction in Google Doc on English, and there is two modes of script execution. First is metadata generation. Is this variable replies for this? So you loading data first time. It's nothing happened. You does not have data model. It does not have any links between the tables. They just flying. You don't need to worry about synthetic case because all tables switching in the loosen mode, so no problems here. But you receive on the metadata model sheet table this metadata that use it for data model generation. You also can see here what exactly data we using for data model generation. So no any of your actual data goes on our side. So you exporting this table like usually. You open service. You uploading it, and come on, let's go to the wait.
Am I right that so on the previous application I have my raw data model? Yeah, it could be any business area. I mean retail segment or maybe bank. Yeah, I just built my raw model entities that I want to connect between each other, and your code generator will generate final data models that something like Superstar or USS.
Yes, generator will generate a code that you need to paste into your script and execute.
Okay, cool. We have another question.
1 minute, 1 minute. Let's
Okay.
see. Code is generated, so we
Okay.
can copy it from here
Mm-hmm.
and go into the script, paste it, and switch generation mode to 0.
Mm-hmm.
And you will get the same model like in my way. Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So we have association between entities because your code generator give us the final result. Yeah, the final association map in the code. So
Yes.
we had the question here: is the association created automatically? How does your code understand how to relate one primary key from one table to one foreign key in another table? Is it based on the field name, or we need to insert manually more metadata to the script? Oh yeah, it's an interesting question.
Everything controls only by field names.
Okay.
So when you're loading your data, the second part of key field name, it's so-called association name. So if let's see, I have lead ID as field of my lead table, and I call it in the same way as it was because it's primary key and it's the rule that it must be in that way. It all described in instruction. And also look at the second part. I have another lead ID field into the events table. It called differently event lead ID, and I call it as event lead ID, but second part, association part, is LD lead ID. And as result, in my central table, I will have lead ID fields that contains data from both fields and have additional field lead ID type that describe what table was source of current rows. For example, you can see that first 3 rows comes from field from event tables because there we have prefix EV, and last row come from lead field because it have prefix lead ID. But on data model level of key fields, it's the one field. Also, if you called your first part of name differently, not like associations, you also save this table into the original state in the source table. So if we will look on the events, where it here, you can see that this table still got field events lead ID. I'm also can, if I want to do so, make it, if I don't want to save original field in table, I can give it a name same like associations. So in this case, these fields just will be deleting. Oh, what happened? Never mind.
Yeah, when you're trying to fix this problem, I just have a question. So I think it will be useful for our audience. Where we could see the name convention that you use to associate these fields and entities.
Sorry, repeat, please.
Yeah, where we could look at the name conventions that you use in your examples, because we see that you use some field names, specific field names, etc.
Yes. You at the service.
Uh-huh.
After all, let me drop it just chat.
Yeah. Okay.
In the service, after registration, you will have link to the English manual, where all of the stuff described in lot of details here about name convention, how it works, what's logic,
Okay.
what the important parts, and so on, and how to work with the service. And inside of service, you can download the application template to use for metadata generation. We also can conversate about some support stuff question if you have it, but currently we make it only in Telegram channel. So
yeah, I think we will create some Slack channel and put everyone to the Slack channel for every folk that want to ask any question. And of course, you have LinkedIn account, and we will share the same. So thank you everybody for these for your participation in our real deep dive stream today. And thank you, Evgeny, about your job is amazing, and I think your solution will be very popular. So
okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone
who have come to our meeting. Let's be in touch, and I hope you'll follow my future articles about this stuff. And we now going more in going to practice, because I will be posting more information about services, about practice cases, about business task solutions that you can achieve with our help.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Bye.
Goodbye.